So that takes us to Indiana, which I think everyone agrees right now has gone from, a team that made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They were building all these young pieces, of course, Caitlin Clark, to now an immediate contender with all the moves that they've made.
Are WNBA veterans really trying to tear down Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever before the season even starts? Some critics have been way too vocal about whether Clark and her squad deserve the hype, but guess who just stepped in? That's right, Sue Bird, one of the greatest point guards in WNBA history, just broke her silence, and instead of taking shots at Clark or the Fever, she's actually defending them. She's shutting down the noise, setting the record straight, and letting everyone know why this team should be taken seriously. The conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark has been intense from the moment she declared for the WNBA draft. The hype, the expectations, the criticism, it's all been relentless. Some fans are calling her the future of women's basketball. Others are saying she's overrated. Some players and analysts have fully embraced her presence in the league. Others seem to be looking for reasons to downplay her, and that's exactly why Sue Bird had to step in.
Tough. She brings an edge to them. And then last but not least, they added DeWanna Bonner, which really I think is the one that for most people took it to another level. So now you're like, oh, they're a contender. Now the expectations have changed. I'm sure the way they're approaching this season have changed. I think the biggest part of DB joining this team is that she's already played for Steph.
Because let's be real, Caitlin Clark isn't just a random rookie coming into the league. She's not just another talented player trying to find her place. She's one of the most gifted offensive players women's basketball has ever seen, and she's stepping into a franchise that has been desperately waiting for a player like her to arrive.
So Sue Bird is one of the greatest point guards of all time in the WNBA. And she's someone who obviously is a part owner in the Seattle Storm. So hyping up another team is a bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest. Not like something crazy, but a little bit.
Bird, who knows a thing or two about being a franchise-changing point guard, made it clear in her recent comments Clark and the Fever are for real, and all the people trying to downplay them, they might be making a huge mistake. So why is there so much resistance to Caitlin Clark's presence? Why are there so many people trying to brush aside Indiana's chances? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about what Sue Bird actually said, because she didn't just casually compliment Clark. She went all in on defending her in the Fever. She acknowledged the elephant in the room right away. The Indiana Fever went from being a good team with young talent to an intermediate contender. That's a massive jump, and some people don't like that. Certain WNBA analysts and former players have been pushing this idea that Indiana is being handed respect they haven't earned yet, that just because they landed Clark, people are treating them like instant championship material. Sue Bird wasn't having any of that. She openly admitted that while the Fever might not be the outright favorites, because let's be honest, teams like the Liberty and Lynx are still stacked, they are absolutely in the conversation, and that's the part that some people can't seem to accept. They don't want to acknowledge that the Fever are already a dangerous team. They don't want to admit that Clark isn't coming into a rebuild. She's stepping into a team that was already on the rise. Bird also pointed out something incredibly important. Clark's impact goes far beyond just what she does individually. The way she plays makes her teammates better. It's funny because people love to say, well, let's see how she does in the WNBA. She won't be able to dominate like she did in college. But here's what they don't understand. Clark doesn't need to drop 30 points every night to make an impact. That's not what makes her special. What makes her special is how she elevates everyone around her. She creates so many easy shots for her teammates. She forces defenses to completely change the way they play. She pushes the pace in a way that wears teams down. Bird recognized this instantly. She even compared Clark to herself in her prime, saying that playing with Clark is actually simpler than people think. You just need to run the floor, be in position, and let her find you. And when a Hall of Famer like Sue Bird is saying that, you listen. But here's the thing, this isn't just about Clark, this is about the entire team, man. The way they've been disrespected, because even outside of Clark, the Fever have built a squad that should be taken seriously. They went out and made moves that prove they aren't just here to develop young players, they are here to win. Now adding DeWanna Bonner was huge. This is a player who has been to the finals, who knows what it takes to win, and who thrives in high-pressure situations. She's not just a solid veteran, she's a game changer. Then you bring in Sophie Cunningham, who is this tough as they come. She's not going to back down from anyone. She's the kind of player who can swing momentum in a game with her physicality and energy alone. And then there's Natasha Howard. Bird was especially excited about this addition. She talked about how Howard was at her best when she played alongside her in Seattle. She's quick, she's got great hands, and she knows how to run the floor, and that's exactly why she fits so well with Clark. Bird basically laid it out. If you're a big playing with Caitlin Clark, you just need to run and Catch, that's it. Clark is going to get you the ball in the perfect spot. You don't need to do anything fancy, just be in the right position and she'll do the rest, and that's why this team is so dangerous. It's not just about talent, it's about how these pieces fit together. But despite all this, there are still people trying to dismiss them, and Bird called that out too, because let's be honest, there's definitely some jealousy involved here. Clark's arrival has completely shifted the conversation around the WNBA. She's bringing in more media attention, more fans, and more excitement than the league has seen in years.
You know what they just said to me on TV? They said, you know what the all-time assist record is in this game? And I said, I don't want to know. And they're like, well, it's Sue Bird's. And I was like, okay, then I have to break it.
And not everyone likes that. Some veterans feel like they had to grind for years to get any sort of recognition. And now Clark comes in and instantly becomes the face of the league. That doesn't sit well with everyone, and you can feel it in the way some people talk about her. They are constantly looking for ways to downplay her. They're acting like she hasn't earned the hype. Bird wasn't having it. She made it clear Clark deserves this. She's not just a media creation. She's not just hype. She's a real deal, and more importantly, the Fever are the real deal. Bird knows what a championship team looks like. She's played on them, she's led them, and when she looks at Indiana, she sees a team that is right there. Are they the favorites? Number, but are they in the mix? Absolutely, and that's what people need to start accepting. This isn't just about a rookie coming in and getting too much attention. This is about a franchise making all the right moves to build something special, and Bird, she sees it. She knows what's coming. The question is, will the rest of the league figure it out before it's too late? Because if the Fever get rolling, if Clark finds her rhythm and her teammates fully buy into the system, the WNBA is about to be put on notice, and all those people trying to downplay it now, they might not have much to say when Indiana is lighting up the scoreboard and proving exactly why they should have never been doubted in the first place. The conversation around Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about the culture shift happening in the WNBA. For years, the league has been building momentum, slowly gaining more attention, more fans, and more respect. But now, with Clark stepping in and Indiana making serious moves, everything feels like it's happening faster. The spotlight is brighter, the stakes are higher, and the reactions, they've been stronger than ever. Some people are thrilled about it, others not so much, and that's exactly why Sue Bird had to step in. Because here's the thing, this isn't just about the Fever getting attention, it's about the pushback they are getting because of that attention. People are acting like Indiana hasn't earned the hype, like Caitlin Clark is just some college star who's being gifted a level of recognition that other players had to fight years to get. But Bird, she completely shut that down. She understands the game on a level that few others do, and from her perspective, the Indiana Fever aren't being handed anything. They are building something legitimate, and the biggest problem, there are players, analysts, and even fans who don't want to admit that. Let's talk about the real reason why some people in the WNBA world are uncomfortable with what's happening in Indiana, the Caitlin Clark effect. Why some people can't handle it. Caitlin Clark's presence in the WNBA is unlike anything we've seen before. She's not just a great player, she's a phenomenon, the kind of player who doesn't just make an impact on the court but completely changes the conversation around the game itself, and not everyone knows how to handle that. Think about how much media attention she's brought to the league. Everywhere you look, people are talking about the Fever. Every game she plays and is going to be must-watch television. Every arena she steps into sold out. That's power. And when someone brings that level of attention to a league that's been fighting for mainstream recognition for years, there's bound to be some tension. Some players, especially veterans who have spent years grinding without getting the same level of hype, might feel like it's unfair, like why does she get all this attention before even playing a WNBA game? But Bird sees it differently. She knows that the big picture is what matters. Clark's presence isn't just good for the Fever, it's good for the league as a whole. It means more fans, more sponsorship deals, more respect. And instead of trying to downplay her, the league should be embracing her. That's why Bird stepped in to defend her, because she understands that this isn't about Caitlin Clark taking something away from other players. It's about her bringing more attention to the game and the players who understand that they are going to thrive in this new era of the WNBA. Why the Fever aren't just hyped, they are built to win. Now let's get back to the basketball side of things, because at the end of the day, winning is what's going to determine how people talk about Clark and the Fever. And Bird made one thing clear, this team isn't just hype, they have real talent, they've made real moves, they are being built the right way. She talked about how important Dananna Boner is to this team, and let's be honest, Boner might be the most underrated signing of the entire offseason. She's a proven winner, a player who doesn't just show up in the regular season, but delivers when it matters most. Adding someone like that to a young team, that's how you take the next step. Then you have Sophie Cunningham, who might just be one of the toughest, most physical players in the entire league. She's the type of player who doesn't back down from anyone, and that's exactly the kind of edge the Fever need, because make no mistake, Caitlin Clark is going to get targeted this season. Opposing teams are going to try to be extra physical with her. They are going to test her toughness. They are going to see if they can throw her off her game. That's where players like Cunningham come in. She's not going to let teams push Clark around without a fight. She's going to set the tone, make things difficult for opponents, and bring that enforcer mentality. Then there's Natasha Howard, the player Bird was especially excited about. She played with Howard in Seattle, so she knows how valuable she is. She's a nightmare in transition. She's elite on defense, and if you put her in the right system, she can be a game changer. That's why Bird emphasized how perfectly she fits with Clark. She doesn't need to be the primary scorer. She doesn't need to dominate the ball. She just needs to do what she does best: run the floor, defend at a high level, and make winning plays. That's what makes Indiana so dangerous. This isn't a team that's just hoping Clark carries them. This is a team that understands exactly what they need.